Hey guys, Craig McCormick here from DestructivePixels.com, and today it's time for another Q&A. Now this time I've only got two questions, but they actually are about one of a very similar topic about Lee's polarizers that are used in their foundation kits. And actually because I wanted to do a video basically telling you guys what Lee filter gear I actually have. We're going to tie the two videos together and it'll be nice and tidy. So let's first go and actually read the questions and we'll answer them, because although they are about the polarizers, they actually are two different types of questions, but they both relate to the same topic. So the first question here is from Damien O'Connell, and he's talking about what polarizers do you use for the actual Lee system, because he read correctly that you actually have the foundation kit here, and then you actually have to have an adapter ring, and then from there you attach Lee's circular polarizer onto it. But his main question is, do you have to use the Lee one, or can you use someone's like Hoya and Kenko? And the answer to that question is actually yes, you can use someone else's circular polarizer, as long as it fits that 105mm ring size, because you can get some which actually go directly onto the lens. I've actually got a couple of those different polarizers myself, and they actually attach onto the lens thread itself. But the problem with that is you can't use them with the Lee filter kit, because when, say you actually have that on there, the Lee kit actually goes and attaches onto the thread itself as well. Let me just make sure that's up in camera here. So you won't be able to change the polarizer if it's behind all this stuff, especially if you've got something like a big stopper or a little stopper inside there. So you can use someone else's. I've actually seen other photographers use different ones. I think it was Nicolzi I saw she was using. It was either a Hoya or a Kenko one. It was a circular polarizer. Let me just put all this stuff down here. This is the Lee Filters circular polarizer, and it attaches onto the front, and as you can see, it's actually pretty big, but they attach onto the front. So you can get different circular polarizers for it. Actually, at the time when I was looking to buy the circular polarizer, I didn't really think to look if other manufacturers made 105mm circular polarizers. If I had done, I probably could have saved myself a little bit of money, to answer your question, Damien, is yeah, you can use other people's circular polarizers, as long as you make sure that they fit the 105mm adapter ring size. Now, there are probably also third-party people that make the circular polarizer ring, which attaches to the front of the foundation kit. And I actually think the front ring was actually one of the more expensive items to get, because in order to use a polarizer with the Lee kit, you have to buy both the ring and the polarizer itself. And the ring wasn't cheap, I remember that. But as long as you make sure that it can actually fit on the actual foundation kit itself, you should be able to use other people's. As you saw, I actually do use Lee's stuff, simply because it all works. I know it all works. It's all the same brand. If I have any problems with something, I can go to them directly and say, look, it's all your gear. It's not someone else's gear's fault, or something like that. So that's the reason I have that. And the second question, which is also related to polarizers, was from a guy called Will Penson, and he was asking about Lee's two different types of polarizers, because they actually have two different types of polarizers. They have one, obviously the circular polarizer, which is 105mm, which attaches again onto that thread, so you can use it there. But they also do a square 100mm polarizer. Now that is a polarized piece of glass which actually goes inside one of the different threads here, because actually you can see this is where all the different threads, not threads, like the filters, like the big stopper and the little stopper and stuff like that, they actually go inside. And his email is basically asking, what is the merit of choosing between the circularizer and the square? And the circular one, I prefer the circular one, simply because when you actually have it attached, let me just go ahead and actually attach it to the front here. Say this is actually attached to your lens already. I don't actually have my adapter ring on right now, but this is attached on and you have your filter inside here. Let's say you're using a little stopper. So it's in here, and you can actually change your polarization independently by moving the piece of glass. Now that is really the benefit of a circular polarizer, is that it moves independently of the main housing, the foundation kit. Now with the squares, they actually go inside these ridges where you put your square filters, because remember, it is the same dimensions. It basically is the same kind of thing as a big stopper. It goes inside the little ridges. Currently I only have one ridge, but you can expand it to 2 or 3 Lee actually gives you a whole screwdriver and extenders to actually put all that stuff in if you want to expand it out and put more things in it. But the difference between those two is that you actually have to rotate the kit on the lens. Let me go ahead here and actually show you what I mean. Now later on in this video, I'm also going to show you all the different gear I have for Lee. So let me just go ahead. And it's basically because I get questions quite often about what kit I use for Lee, and it just helps that I'll be able to direct them to this video specifically. So yeah, that went really well there. Good job, Craig. Let's actually attach this properly. Why is this not attaching? What the hell? There we go. That was strange. Okay, now remember, if you have the square polarizer, you have to put it in one of these slots here, and the thing is you actually have to turn it independently. And I find that really, really cumbersome. And I remember reading on Lee's site as well that they actually do recommend the circular ones for digital cameras, simply because it's a little bit more accurate, and you don't have, I just don't like the idea of having to constantly rotate this. It sounds like a total pain to me. So I'm quite happy to just have the circular one. It's not a huge price difference, but it's enough where you kind of notice it. But I do like the idea of just having the circular one, simply because it's on the front. So I don't need, say I have a polarizer and a big stopper in there, and I want to take the polarizer out. It can be a little bit cumbersome to try and get it out, and you can get fingerprints and stuff on it. But with this, it just attaches to the front, and you can just take it on and off as you will. So that is really the difference between the two. It's not a great difference, other than you have to rotate. You can rotate the glass for the circular one independently, whereas for the square one, you actually have to rotate the entire kit. But it does save having to buy the circular polarizer and the front adapter ring. So it does kind of save money that way. But really, for me personally, I like having the flexibility of having the circular polarizer on the front. So that is the difference between the two. But let's actually talk about my Lee kit, because I do get questions about it quite often. Now, before we get started, I want to address one thing, and I'm sure multiple people will be screaming in the comments that, you know, they use this company's filter and it's better than Lee and it's cheaper and better quality of color and no color cast and all the rest of it, and that's fine. I really just like using Lee's stuff. They're a British company, it's all handmade, I like their gear. I may go and pick someone else in the future, and I may start using their gear, but for the time being, I really like using Lee. When, you know, people talk about having color cast problems and stuff like that, I can't say I've had any issues. I think that's more related to older bits of glass that they have that they used to make. I think they, well, especially for me, I've never had any color cast issues. And even if there are color cast issues, that's really just a white balance issue. And I play with white balance all the time in Lightroom, so it really doesn't affect me all that much. But I remember when I was first looking at Lee's kit, it was quite confusing. So I want to do a brief overview of what you actually have to think about buying when you want to buy a Lee Filters system, because a lot of people will look at people's images online and go, oh, I used a big stopper, and they go, wow, these look great. I want to have that kind of quality of picture, especially with the glass that they do. I mean, Lee stuff is expensive, let's just put it out there, but it's expensive for a reason, because it's really, really good quality. At least in my opinion, I've had great results with it, and there's rarely a time when I don't shoot with this stuff, because I just love the effect I get from it, and I love the quality of the images that come from it. But Lee's website is not super helpful. It's very information dense, but it's not super helpful at making you understand what are the bits that you need. It actually took me a long time to figure out what are the bits I need to buy and to use for a certain lens to use a big stopper in my pictures. It took a long time. So let's go through the main thing that doesn't change, and that is the foundation kit. Exclude the ring that's on the front of this right now. You can't really see it, you can see it there. This is the ring that it's an optional extra for the circular polarizer, and that's all it's really used for. So just imagine that it was just this bit of plastic. Now this bit doesn't change. This bit attaches to a adapter ring, which I'll get to in a minute, and then from there your different filters like your big stopper and your little stopper and even color filters and grady and grads, they all go inside the housing here. You can have, I think you can stack up to 3 filters. Let me just see if I can pull it up on camera here. You can see just there in the groove, that's where the little glass sheets are slotted in, and I think you can have up to three bits of glass in there, although you probably will have some vignetting issues when you put 3 in, but you can still put 3 in if you want. So this bit here at the back actually attaches to an adapter ring. Now, this is where a lot of people really get messed up on the adapter rings, because they have two different types of adapter ring. One is a standard adapter ring and one is wide angle. Now, why would you want a wide angle over a standard one? Wide angle is basically designed for wide angle lenses. So anything that needs to be close to the glass in order to help eliminate vignetting. Not eliminate's the wrong word, to reduce vignetting, because wide angle lenses, of course, are super wide, and the difference between the wide angle and the standard one is that the wide angle one is just thinner because it brings the filters closer to the glass. With the standard adapter ones, it's a lot fatter. It's not a lot fatter, it's just a little bit fatter. And wide angle ones are designed specifically for wide angle lenses, but of course, because they are designed for wide angle lenses, which is AKA a lot of landscape stuff, they're more expensive because Lee. And they have two different adapter rings, as I said, standard and wide, but they're also in various sizes to match the thread on the front of your lens. Now, this lens here is a Sigma 24-105, which I've talked about before in previous videos, and this is an 82mm thread, and you'll have to look on your lens specifically what is the thread type, and also is it a wide angle lens, which is basically anything that goes 24 and down as your lowest millimeter. So I also have a 16-35, and that is very much a wide angle, so that's why I have the wide angle adapter ring, and that's part of the reason why I bought the Sigma, is because it's a wide angle lens, but it also has a 82mm thread. So the gear that I use for my 16-35 can also be used with this, no problem. So you'll need to look at the lens thread and basically be able to figure out what adapter ring you need. And for the adapter ring itself, let me just attach it to the front of the camera here so you can actually see what it's like. I remember the first time I put these on, and it felt like it wasn't ever going on. Like you see, I'm just turning it a couple of times and you can lift it off. Basically, you just need to keep turning it until it stops. You don't really get any sense of tension, at least for me, until the very end of the thread. I don't know why it is for that kit, but let me see if I can show you guys on camera here. You see there's two little teeth here. Those are permanent, and then there's this metal one which moves in and out. Let me see if I can show you guys there. There's that. Let me see if I can show you there. There's that metal tooth there. Now, these plastic ones on the side lock into that bit there. And then from there, you pull in the lever and it locks in. Then that's never coming out. Really nice. It's a great system to have, because if you need to take your filters off really quickly, all you need to do is just pull the little tab, lift it up, and then that's it. And once you're done, just put it back on. It's a lot nicer than the ones that lock onto the front of the thread and you've got to turn it on and off. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. Let's go through. So from this point on, you have your square filters. Now these are 100mm square filters. Lee do a whole bunch of different stuff, grads, big stoppers, but the one that most people want is the big stopper, and as you can see, this has gone through a lot of damage. Actually, if you look at the box, it's got all sorts of scratches and dings on it, but that's why it's in a nice metal case, because it will withstand a lot. So let me just get it out here for a sec. I'll show you. So let's see if I can show you. So that's the little slot there. You just push it in. And you just got to look at the front to make sure all the gaps are covered. And then that's it. Now it's on. So the great thing is, because I've had to do this before, where I've messed and I've got my focus on the point that I want to shoot. I put the big stopper on, and then I actually have realized that I forgot to take it off autofocus and put it into manual. So if it's on autofocus and you have this kind of glass in front of it, your camera gets really confused really quickly, and it will just search for focus and never find it. So you actually need to, because I've done this before, it's in autofocus, you go, oh, I've messed up my focus. You just lift the lever, take it off, you get your focus right, you make sure you switch it to manual, and that went well. There we go. And you just put it back on. It makes it really awkward when you're trying to do it so you guys can see. But that is the big stopper and the foundation kit. Recently, I bought the little stopper thanks to a lot of the guys here on my channel who watch and decided that I should buy the little stopper. It's a long story. Basically, I decided my first YouTube AdSense payment I got from ad revenue. I let my audience here on my YouTube channel decide what I want to buy, what they wanted to buy for the channel, really, and they picked the little stopper, so that's what we use. And I've actually used it a lot recently, and it's really, really great. I love it a bit. It's the difference between the little stopper and the big stopper. The big stopper is a 10-stop filter. Now that really blocks out a lot of light. But oftentimes in sunsets and sunrises and stuff like that, it can actually be too much blocking of light. To get the correct exposure, it takes a really, really long time. And that's why a 6-stop is actually really useful. Lee recently, in the last year or so, came out with a little thing called the little stopper, and it's a 6-stop filter. I'm not going to go into the maths on what the different exposure times are, but the little stopper is a lot nicer and a lot more useful in things like sunrise and sunset shots. It's really actually the one thing I do like about the little stopper, which they've done, which they haven't done to the big stopper, is it actually says Lee 6-stop in the actual corner there. They've actually printed it on there. Hopefully you can see that on camera. And it's really, really useful to know, because the problem is, it's exactly the same tin. Now, it does actually come with a whole bunch of stuff, including stickers. It also came out with the big stopper, but at the time, I didn't really think, why would I need a sticker for a big stopper? Because I know what it looks like, it's in my tin. But when I got delivery of the little stopper and it's in exactly the same tin, I'm like, all right, okay, now I'm gonna have a problem, because they both look exactly the same. So I stuck the little stopper sticker on the front of it here, as you can see. And that just helps me differentiate between the two. But of course, I could probably just look and realize the big stopper is just a lot more beat up and scratched. So those are my two filters that I use a lot. And at the same time, when I bought the little stopper, I also bought Lee's circularizer. Circular polarizer, that's the word I wanted to get out of my mouth. And it's really, really nice. I haven't used it a whole bunch, simply because it's not been necessary. I haven't had to cut through reflections recently in any of my shots. But I bought them all at the same time because I've looked at buying this for a long time. Probably over a year I've looked at buying this, because I bought my big stopper about a year ago. And I'd already used polarizers, circular polarizers previously. And I really do like them. I like the effect you get from them. But with Lee's, you had to buy a circular polarizer and a front adapter ring, as I've mentioned multiple times already. And it can get expensive really, really quickly. And I didn't really want to fork out with that money just yet. So I avoided it for the longest time. But when I was buying the little stopper, I figured I'll just buy the circular polarizer at the same time. Because, you know, might as well, 2 birds, 1 stone, all the rest of it. But let me see actually if I can show you what I mean. I actually noticed before, when I was setting up the camera, that if I hold it up here, you can actually see across the street. Now, if I can aim this right, hopefully we'll be able to cut through. Yeah, this is going really poorly, but you can actually see if I was to rotate it, you can see it actually changing. Basically, it's cutting through reflections. You can actually see here on my head, you know, where I've got like a hot spot from the sun. I can just change it. It's really hard to do and demonstrate at the same time, actually. But you just got to trust me, it does work. It costs a lot, but it really does work. It's a real big time saver. It's just really nice. I do like it. But that is pretty much a good overview of my Lee kit. It does... it's not cheap if you want to buy all this stuff straight up, but what I do recommend is do exactly what I did. Just buy it bit by bit as soon as you actually need it. Because, you know, at the beginning I really didn't need the circular polarizer. I did fine without it, but there have been multiple times where I've wished I've had the polarizer, and that's why I just ended up buying it. So hopefully you found it useful it was useful, some useful information from this video here, basically going through my entire Lee kit, explaining a little bit about how you use the Lee filter system and what you need to look out for when you're buying Lee stuff. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and it's been informative, etc., etc. I've been Craig McCormick, and I'll catch you in the next one.